I'm Borley Borlstein, and I'm reviewing the Venom movie. Not the new Venom movie, the OG Venom movie. 2018. Let me look. Yeah, 2018. So, is this movie good? Is it bad? Is it dog shit? It's okay. You know, for all the hype that this movie has when it comes to the funny dynamic Tom Hardy has with Venom and how they have this great chemistry and this funny relationship, this movie really only has, I think, at most like 5 minutes of that. Like it's really sparse and it's buttressed between these long moments of just nothing burger drama that is so superficially presented and then so obvious in its presentation that the film feels like it was designed for somebody who is honestly on substances in the theater. Like, this film wasn't made for kids. Like, I'm not saying that the film was dumb and made for kids. I'm saying this film was so oblivious to any kind of subtlety that you could have been the drunk abusive stepfather to some kid in the theater and you could have been barely watching the movie while you're like swiping right looking for the next chick to cheat on your wife with, and you would still 100% have the same experience as the kid who's glued to the screen because the movie is that obvious and simple. To kind of go over the plot, which is honestly, I think, offensive to even say that there is much of a plot. Some goo comes back from space. We have Jeff Bezos who wants to like push humanity forward, but then randomly, the Jeff Bezos character in the movie changes his entire like drive to just help the symbiote monsters destroy Earth, and it's never explained why he has this change of like opinion. It just happens. It just happens in the movie, and we're never given a reason why. So that's something I learned about the movie is that if you're an evil character and you go from being pretty evil to completely evil, there is no, you don't need to explain that in superhero movies because they're just already evil. Your enemies are ontologically evil and no act against them is bad. That's how this movie operates. So basically, Venom, he somehow gets into Eddie Brock. I don't fucking remember. It doesn't fucking matter. It like jumps around from person to person to person, and it gets into Eddie, and somehow Eddie is able to just like, Eddie has such good Dom energy that like Venom's like a switch, right? So Venom's like usually he doms other people, but then he gets into Eddie Brock, and he's so dom daddy that he doms Venom, and Venom's like really submissive and breedable. So like Venom stops basically trying to kill people and is like, maybe I can help Eddie get back with his girlfriend because I'm an Eddie simp. Venom is an Eddie stan. He stands Eddie and he wants to help Eddie have the best life. He stands Eddie so much so that there's a scene later in the movie where Venom is out of Eddie and Venom is in Eddie's ex-girlfriend. And Venom runs back to Eddie and starts making out with Eddie. And canonically in the movie, this is because Venom wants to make out with Eddie. Venom and Eddie have a romantic relationship in the movie on screen. They kiss and make out, and it's beautiful. And I don't know what kind of gender Venom is, or if they even have genders, but it's interspecies at the very least. So I want to give this film the award of first going beyond the veil of just representation and inclusivity. We have interspecies, what appears to be homosexuality, because I believe Venom is male coded. He seems pretty male coded to me. But if Venom is in a woman, Venom's got them birthing hips. Venom's got them tiggle bitties. That was intense. I don't know. I was getting bricked up just watching the movie. So if you're that abusive stepfather, you want to walk out during that scene because you're gonna get too horny when you're watching that scene. Okay, so back to the plot. It's fucking dumb. A bunch of stupid shit happens. There's a bunch of excuses for action scenes. The movie does have some pretty good like slapstick kind of action scenes where like Eddie is kind of like getting his body thrown around and Venom is controlling him and like helping him out. Those are the best action scenes. Later on in the movie, we just have pure action scenes where like Venom is just a big CGI monster and he's fighting another CGI monster. And there's one cool section where like the character's kind of like Eddie is like a human and he's punching the human bad guy who's Jeff Bezos, and Venom is like around Eddie, and then Riot, the other symbiote, is around Jeff Bezos, and they're kind of also punching each other. So it's like they're fighting each other, but then they're like ghosts What the fuck is falling down my face? What the fuck is that? Jesus, what the fuck? Am I leaking white? There's like this weird white snowflake particle in my room. What the fuck was that? Okay, anyway, back to the review. Yeah, so like that stuff was like cool. It was cinematic, but it's like I don't give a shit about that. I like the cool slapstick comedy because that shows creativity, and there was a pretty decent amount of creativity. Another thing people get into is like Venom is like an anti-hero, and like Venom is the anti-hero. Eddie Brock is the noble hero. Eddie Brock loses his job to adhere to his morals. That's something he's willing to sacrifice. And his girlfriend also gets fired because, the Jeff Bezos character is so punitive and cruel and mean that he's going to take out, his vengeance not just on you but the people you care about. So that happens in the film, and that's why they break up, because she says he only cares about himself, but really he cares about his moral convictions. Now the reason that happens in the movie is fucking dumb. Don't even care about it. All you need to know is that Eddie is a moral character, and he is paired with an amoral character, and that amoral character, like I said, they are a switch. If you understand the lingo I'm using, winky face at you. Don't know what a switch is? Google it. I'm not fucking explaining it. So Venom is a switch, right? So Venom goes full sub mode for Eddie, and Eddie doms him with his moral beacon kind of compass energy, and then Venom becomes like a better person. Like he's like, oh my god, the Earth is so beautiful. Oh my god, I can't believe it. Double rainbow. Like I want to save humanity now. I don't want the bad guy to come back and beat our asses. And that's another thing too, is that like Venom should have had more funnier lines. Like there's really not even a handful. Like the only funny line I can think of is when Venom is talking about Riot, the other symbiote, and Venom is like, "Oh yeah, he's got shit you haven't seen. He's a big guy. I'm kind of a loser back on my home planet." And I thought that was pretty funny, where to find out that like this big monster is actually like a loser on his home planet, which implies that there's other big monsters that are even bigger and cooler than Venom, and that's what we see in the movie. But obviously Venom wins through the power of just being a cool guy. He's the main character. He's got Eddie Brock, and Eddie Brock is a cool guy too. So there's two funny things in the movie. One funny thing: this movie has like a decent amount of ADR, that's recording the voices after filming. And one of them is before the big battle, where we're looking at the back of Eddie Brock / Tom Hardy, and Eddie Brock asks, "Venom, why did you come back?" And Venom is like, "I came back to save humanity and defeat the enemy symbiote because he is a bad guy and now I am a good guy. You have subdued me. I am a sub. You are my dom daddy. Eddie Brock, thank you so much." So that's what happens in the movie. It is fucking absurd. The voice for Tom Hardy's character does not sound like Tom Hardy. They got like a really bad Tom Hardy sound-alike from like the Office Christmas party that they like pulled in. Like, "Oh, hey, you remember Jim? Hey, come over here, Jim. We need somebody to record lines for Tom Hardy, and you kind of sounded like him when you were really drunk and hitting on my grandma at the Office Christmas party. Like, come on over here." So like that's what they did for that. There's some other lines too that are just sound like they're ADR'd, and they're only there to like give exposition of what's going on in the plot, and it's like always transition exposition. So it's like, okay, we just finished this moment and we need to get to another moment, but nothing's really tying those moments together, so we need to have the characters just say why they're doing what they're doing, which is really awkward. The other big issue is at the end of the movie, we have this Jeff Bezos character whose like motivation has been to like go to space and advance humanity and just do cool Jeff Bezos shit in space, right? And then he gets taken over by Riot, and he's compatible with Riot, and Riot wants to bring symbiotes back to Earth. And when he's possessed, it makes sense that Riot is like corrupted him, and now Jeff Bezos also wants to bring other symbiotes back to Earth because Riot is a dom and Jeff Bezos is a sub in this relationship. The problem is that at one point Tom Hardy and Jeff Bezos' character both lose their symbiotes, so they go back to their normal selves, right? But still, Jeff Bezos acts in a manner that he still wants to help the Riot symbiote bring back symbiotes to destroy Earth and kill him. And I thought, well, if you're obeying the logic of the movie, now that Jeff Bezos is free of the Riot symbiote, Jeff Bezos should be like, "Oh my God, Eddie Brock, I'm so sorry for firing. I'm getting you fired. You gotta help me. I can't have Riot bring back the symbiote. He's gonna kill all of humanity. He's gonna destroy everything that I've worked for." That should have been a moment of like emotional appeal from Jeff Bezos' character that kind of makes Venom that anti-hero. He makes him kind of like, "Oh, this is fucked up, right? Like that's kind of fucked up that you're gonna kill this guy now that he's like he doesn't want to do this, but he's being controlled by a monster that's making him do this. And then at the end, Jeff Bezos is in the rocket. He's like flying away with the riot symbiote. And then, you know, Eddie Brock just like blows up the rocket ship by making the fuel go everywhere. And that's what happens. And it would have just added some more of that like anti-hero kind of like stick to it, where Venom isn't purely a good guy, but like at the end of the movie, Venom is just purely a good guy who just kills bad people and like that's it. And I didn't think that there was much of like a catharsis to that arc. Like it's just like Venom just folds so easily, and like that's not fun. Like when you're having like a good like sub dom or like switch dom relationship, like the switch shouldn't fold immediately. That's really boring because then you just be a sub. Like that's not interesting if you just fold immediately. Like that where's the tension there? Where's the dynamic? Where's the eroticism? Okay, because like people aren't showing up to see attractive women in Venom. There's like one fucking female. Oh yeah, there's that doctor lady, but she dies. There's like two female characters in this movie. I'm pretty sure this movie fails the Bechdel test. But if there's like a pro-gay test, this movie passes the pro-gay test. This is one of the gayest not gay movies I've ever seen. And I wouldn't be surprised if the next movie has, you know, Eddie Brock and Venom like making out. I haven't seen the second one. I haven't seen the third one. I think it's called The Last Dance because one of them dies of AIDS or something. I have no idea. And I would love that. I want a gay romance symbiote movie. I want movies to be interesting. I don't want them to be boring. And I think I gave this movie on Letterboxd like a 2, like a 1.5 or like a 2 out of 5. It's not that entertaining. It's not that great. The music really carries a lot of the scenes to tell you how to feel. Like that was the one through line, is that the music is really consistently telling you how to feel, which I appreciate because like I'm about to fall asleep watching the fucking movie. So at least the music is like kind of shocking me back to life. And the music does change in the action scenes in a pretty overt way, which I actually appreciated. I'm sure some people probably thought that there should be more subtlety to it or whatever, but who fucking cares, dog? It's a shitty superhero movie. Just make it obvious, at least in the music sense. The script shouldn't be like, I am going to kill bad guy because now I am good guy. Like that is the worst writing imaginable. Yeah, that's all I gotta say. You like this movie? Congrats. I love you. You don't like this movie? Congrats. I love you too. Have a good day.